So I want to make a quilted Christmas tree skirt, but a lot of them, because it's a circle, they come with like a wedge template, and I don't want to buy extra notions. I just want to sit down and sew. Now this whole pattern comes from a blog called stitchedincolor.com. I had kind of a difficult time finding the pattern, but it's one that I actually really love and I wanted to try it, and I had it saved in my Pinterest, but the blog post was archived and I was having a really hard time finding it. So I'm going to walk you through the steps, but just know that this came from stitchedincolor.com, and if you want to check out, they have some other really great tutorials you can try. So I have a jelly roll. This is Midnight Carol and it is from Tiny Spool. And I love this one because it has metallics in it. Oh my goodness. It's all the traditional colors, but it's got the shiny metallics. So I love that. So check out Tiny Spool. I'll tag them below. You also need 2 yards of solid. So you can do like a little bit of different colors, or you could just do 1, but you need 2 yards of something. I would say if you're going to use a jelly roll, do something that's low volume or do something that is just a solid. So I'm going to go with solids. The next thing you're going to do is take that solid and cut 14-inch squares like this, because we're going to be cutting them into triangles. So you're going to take that 14-inch square and you're going to cut it diagonally into triangles. Like this, okay? You're going to cut them into triangles. So this is like 1 of the quarters, okay? And then I'll show you what to do next. On each of your triangles, you're going to mark a middle point. You can just press it, and then you're going to go up 1/4 of an inch and put a little dot. Then starting at here at the point, you're going to measure over 3 1/4, 3 1/4, and then you're going to draw lines down to that point so that they overlap. You're going to do that on the back of all of your fabric. I'm just using pencil, but you can use heat disappearing ink or something like that. It's whatever you want to do. Now you should end up with 56 of these triangles. You're going to set 8 of those aside. Don't touch those. Those are going to be our special ones. Now with our remaining 48, we're going to be doing something called stitch and flip. So if you know that method, you're set. Okay, now set those all aside, and then you're going to pull out your jelly roll. Now you're not going to need all of your strips. I'll put up here how many you actually need, but we want this to look really scrappy. So I would say pick the ones that you like best and that have some good variety, and then that way it looks really scrappy. I'll show you in more detail as we get going, okay? Right now what you need to do is take out your jelly roll strips, and we're going to cut them 7 inches long. Now you can absolutely rough cut these because you're not going to be seeing the edges. We're going to be trimming those off. So I'm literally just, I'm not even using a ruler. And see these little pieces? I'm going to save these because on the edge of your triangle, you might have some really small pieces. So I'm going to set these aside just in case I need them. Now jelly roll strips are always 2.5 inches wide, but we want it to look kind of scrappy. So I am going to use my ruler, and I'm going to be cutting these in half at 1 1/4. Now I'm not going to do all of them like that. I'm going to do some big, some little. That way we have a good mixture of them to put together and it'll look really scrappy. Okay, I've got all my colors arranged. I have some of the skinny ones of all different colors. I have some green, some of that ivory, some of the red, and then some of the black. Now, the great thing about something scrappy is it doesn't even have to be perfectly straight. You can do them a little bit wonky and sew them like that. It'll look even more scrappy if you happen to like that look. All right, now we are ready to start stitching and flipping. So you're gonna take your fabric here, put right sides together, and then see how this one hangs out a little bit and hangs out a little bit? That's what we want. And you wanna see, this is why I did a light color. You can see under, and you want it to be about 1/4 of an inch away. You can do more, but at least 1/4 of an inch past that line that you drew, because we are going to be sewing right on that line, and then we're going to flip it over. And so we want to have at least 1/4 inch seam there. I'm using a stitch length of 2. I always quilt with at least a stitch length of 2. That way I know that my seams aren't going to be coming apart or popping. So we're going to sew all the way down. So here's the line that we just sewed, and we're just going to flip it over and press it like that. Okay, so we are going to press this flat. So we did a stitch and then we did a flip, and now it's time to add the next piece. So we're going to add these right sides together again. We're just going to put it right on the edge of that first one that we did. And then we're going to stitch with 1/4 inch here, and then we can flip that one over. So we're just gonna do another 1/4 inch seam along here. And then we're gonna press it. You don't need to do a back stitch to begin or end because we're gonna be cutting off the edges. So don't worry about that. We're gonna be trimming all of this. Then we'll do another one right on the edge there. We're gonna press that one as well. And this is why I saved those little end pieces of the jelly roll, because we can put it here and then that way it'll cover this little bit right here. And then once we're done with that, we've done a whole side. So you're gonna do that exact same process on the other side and all 48 of those triangles, not the 8 that we set aside. So here's what it looks like sewn. Then flip it over and you need to trim all this excess off. Just trim right along where your white is. So once they're trimmed, it'll look like this. So do all 48, put on a good movie, get busy. So just sew them all the way down here. You'll have lots of overhang that you can trim off and then use it when you get to some smaller things like this, but then just trim it off all the way down here. All right, now we need to make 8 halves of a whole block. And so we're gonna take our triangles that we did, how we sewed off this way and sewed off this way, and this was our top point. We're gonna put 2 of the top points together, our 2 solid points together. And that's gonna give us 8 of these triangles. Okay, set those aside. Okay, then we need to make our star blocks and we need 8 of those. So you can see how you put your solid points together. So you're gonna have 2 halves here, and then you'll sew them together to make 1 star block. And then set those 8 aside. Now remember how I said to set 8 of those triangles aside? They were going to be special. Now we're going to work on them. So you're going to do the colors 4 on the right side and 4 on the left side. Then we're going to flip them over, and on the opposite side of where you sewed the colors, you're going to trim off a 1/4 inch past the other line that you drew. So it should look like this. You have your one side with the color, and then a 1/4 inch past, you're going to trim those. Then we're gonna turn them around. So you cut this side off, we're gonna turn them around, and you sew a left and a right piece together like that. All right, then we're gonna take 2 of them, and we've sewn them right here to join them. We're gonna take 2 of those pieces, and we're gonna join them here by sewing the points together. So you did those 2, then do the other 2, and then you sew them together. That part goes around the tree. Then take your center part and sew 4 of your half blocks on all 4 sides. How did it only just now occur to me that I have a quilting design wheel and I can lay it all out for you? Duh. Okay, here's the center part that goes around the tree. This is that open part. Leave that open. So think of this as 3 vertical rows. So on this row, we're gonna start by doing our triangle, square, square, triangle. The middle, we're gonna have these 2 get sewn together, and then they get attached to this middle part that we did. Because these are separated here on the bottom, you're just gonna sew those 2 together and those 2 together, but don't connect them. And then you're gonna do another side row over here. So this is gonna be triangle, square, square, and a triangle there. All right, now we baste. Backing and top right side together. This is one of those rare times where I'm gonna say it's easier to do this on the floor. All right, now we've moved to the floor. We're gonna pin all around the edge and all around the inside because that's where we're gonna sew. Now cut 6 strips that are 12 inches long by 2.5 inches wide. We're gonna make ties out of these. Press them in half, then open it up and press each side into the center and then press it again so it looks like this. On one end, fold it in just a little bit, then fold it shut, and we're gonna sew it closed. Sew as close as you can along the edge. Make sure you backstitch at the end. Now in this part where it splits, you're gonna take your ties and you're gonna put them in the bottom, the middle, and the top on both sides. So you're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'm gonna cut some of this excess out that's around there, but now it's time to sew all the way around and in the center. The only place that you don't wanna sew is up at the top there. So this is my part that's cut open. That top part, I'm not gonna sew because I need that open to turn it. But we are gonna sew all around the center here. Okay, once you're done with that, then you're going to rough cut it all the way around. I left it a little bit longer on top. We're gonna turn this whole thing inside out through that hole, and then you can flip your insides under and sew it shut. All right, so here is that hole. Fold each side in and then pin it, and then you can sew the whole thing shut. And here is the completed skirt. So I am gonna do just a little bit of light quilting, not too much, just a little bit, and I'm probably gonna go all the way around the edge again. The cute little ties worked out perfectly. I love that color. I will try to get a staged picture for you.